is you can have someone take it if you have someone sitting next to you, but you want to take your picture from the front and from the side. And I don't know if any of you have ever really looked at your posture before, but your posture is a reflection of your nervous system. It's all connected on the inside. And in our practice, we do postural pictures because our posture, you might not realize that your posture is maybe not optimal based on even other pictures that you've taken. Maybe you've never taken a front view and a side view. And for example, I have a gentleman, he came into our office yesterday, and he is a retired Ford assembly line worker. And Dr. Bob now has been practicing in practice for 45 years, and Dr. Anthony and myself 12 years. And this gentleman said that he used to come to the practice in Elyria years ago, prior to 2004, and he was talking to me about the nervous system and everything else going on in his body. And he said, I'm really concerned, Dr. Kaysen, because right now what's happening is he's laying back on the floor, and for some of you, you might know this, but his head actually can't lie back comfortably. And he's starting to notice a protrusion actually in his back and his neck. And some of you right now, if you're watching me, feel the back of your neck. There's a bump right there. Those vertebrae are your lower cervical vertebra, and you have 7 cervical vertebrae. But that space right there, that's very common with people that are working at a computer or working at a desk. Over time, you can actually develop a calcification right there. And if you want to look something up later, it's called the Dowager's hump. And it actually is a bump or a hump that forms over time from having your head be in that forward position. And you might think, okay, so why is that important? Well, the nerves in the spine come out, and those nerves in your lower neck go to your lungs, your heart, and your brain. It's all connected on the inside. And as chiropractors, whether you have a chiropractor where you live, and Dr. Bob also practiced in Naples, Florida, and we're here in the Cleveland area, but some of the other locations, you want to seek a chiropractor that's close by you that does x-rays of the spine. Because as you're taking pictures of your posture, if your posture's off, if you have one shoulder higher than the other, then your spinal structure is off. And some of you, maybe you've been told you've had scoliosis or a curvature in the spine. Those things have overall developed over time, even from when you were a baby up until now. And I specialize in pediatrics and pregnancy with my husband, Dr. Anthony. So I see babies as early as a few days old. And you might think, how come? Well, that's because the birth process is 90 pounds of pressure on your brain and your spinal cord. So if you've taken a picture of your posture, hang on to that, because we're going to come back to that momentarily. But as we talk about the nervous system, this is one of the big things I want you to understand is every inch your head goes forward is an extra bowling ball of pressure on your spinal cord. So if you look at the first image here, 12 to 15 pounds is how much our head weighs. Some of you right now, and I can't see your side view and look at your posture, but some of you right now could be carrying upwards of 42 to 50 pounds of extra pressure on your brain and your spinal cord. And what's really interesting about this, some of the body signals of poor posture, you could have numbness and tingling in your arms or your hands. And maybe you've even had carpal tunnel surgery. We've had people have carpal tunnel surgery 2 or 3 times on one wrist and a few times on the other. And it never got to the root cause of what was going on. And the reason why is that was coming from their neck being out of position. So posture is really important. And I start to see these deviations in posture as soon as kids can walk. I have a 3-year-old in our practice right now. I've been seeing him for the last few years, and he's 5 now. And it's amazing how off his posture was when we first started working, especially his side view. And he plays hockey, and he wears a backpack. And yes, he uses an iPad, I'm sure, and video games and gaming, which is a huge thing now that we see. But it all goes back to structure on the inside, because unfortunately, gravity never takes a vacation. And if you look on the right here, the nervous system controls everything. So I have my little friend here, which I'll show you. Your brain sits in the skull, hopefully, and it travels down as the cord all the way down. And if your spine's out of position, the nerves in your neck go to your brain, your heart, and your sinuses. And then in your lower spine, colon, uterus, ovaries, kidneys, bladder, gallbladder, liver, it's all connected on the inside. So posture truly shows us if your posture is off, then the inside is also off based on how that can put pressure on those nerves. It's not uncommon for our members, as we start working with them chiropractically and helping to improve function, and even with other exercises and tools to help, it's not uncommon for someone's breathing to improve, even their immune system improve. Why? Because you're taking pressure off the lungs and the heart, which is so important for breathing and function. If you look at all those nerves right there, some of you could have heart palpitations and even high blood pressure, high cholesterol, other markers that are going on in your body because of the biochemistry and nutrition, but also because of your spinal health. As we move forward here, as I was talking to you about, every inch your head goes forward is an extra 10 to 15 pounds of pressure, which I know none of you look like this when you're texting or when you're maybe emailing or communicating, but what's really interesting is if you go and you start people watching or you're out and about, I want to enhance your people watching. I want you to actually start looking at people's posture. When my husband and I are walking or bike riding, it's really interesting as we're evaluating and looking at people's posture. But sometimes when people are walking, you can really see one shoulder higher than the other. Or even you yourself, you might be walking with your mate or a friend and you think that they're actually running into you when you're walking, but it's actually you, because your brain and your nervous system isn't communicating at 100%. So I'm going to say that again. You might notice when you walk that you're veering to the left or the right, but you actually think the other person is nudging into you. I don't know if any of you feel that way ever, but that could be because your spine is out of position, which literally impacts the nerves that go to your brain, which communicates with everything else. And this little guy here on the right, I see this in our practice all the time with all the families that we see, is that forward hunched over posture. And over time, gravity never takes a vacation. So if this is you and you're in this posture, I want you to start working on even being more aware and conscious of how do you sit, how do you drive, and even how do you sleep? What posture are you in? Because that can really create also an extra demand on your spine. And our spine goes out of position even with sports. I was working with someone today and she used to play soccer, and some of you, maybe you've played soccer before, and she's had an ACL tear, an MCL tear, ankle sprains, and now she's having hip issues, and she's in her 30s. So over time, I was talking with her this morning, if she doesn't get to the root cause to correct this, she could have a knee replacement and even other continual challenges with her ankles, because it's all connected with the spine. So all of these different things correlate with posture and with function on the inside. So This is really interesting, and I appreciate all of you who put your survey questions in, and all of your feedback is appreciated because this workshop is all about you. So one of my questions was, what do you do to help your posture? And it's a blessing because with Osborne, and I know some of the other companies that I've worked with, even some of the companies that you've helped overall to build, like the Cleveland Food Bank, like Jones Day. I've been a speaker at both of those facilities, and I feel that they are very thoughtful, and especially with your team also with ergonomic options for people, because standing desks really are one of the best things you can have, whether it's at home or at the office. But the big thing is, and even as you're watching me today, is you want your screen to be at eye level, even as I'm speaking with you today, is you want to be in a relaxed position. Also, your desk chair, what I find is based on your height, some people, if they're shorter, their feet might not be touching appropriately, and they could be having knee issues and hip issues. So you want to have that nice, relaxed 90-degree angle. And I have people, they have lumbar support if they need to. But the biggest thing is you don't want to be sitting all day. Sitting is the worst amount of pressure on your discs in your lower spine. And I have another model to show you too. The nerves in your lumbar spine here go down your legs into your feet. Some of you could have numbness and tingling in your feet and your toes, and you might think it's sciatica, but actually it could be because of how your pelvis is out of position based on other factors like even your posture throughout the day. Another thing, one of you shared that the exercises that you do, like the shoulder rolls and the ab workouts, have really helped you. And those are things that are very beneficial, especially if you're working on a computer throughout the day, is you want to get up and you want to stretch throughout the day. And I don't know how many of you actually get up throughout the day and stretch, but even when you go to the bathroom, and some of our engineers in our office, I know it's hard to take them away from the work because they want to get it done, and they know with the time and the projects that they're working on, they want to maximize their time. But when you go to the restroom, what I want you to do is you put your arms up, you stretch back, and you start doing chest openers. And you should be doing this every time you go to the bathroom. You think about rolling your shoulders back, putting your arms back in the doorway. And some of you right now, you might already be doing this, is you have a golf ball or a tennis ball and you put that up against the wall, and you can stretch and actually do trigger point therapy on yourself to help open up your pecs because you're in that forward posture. All of these things are going to help to bring those shoulders back. The key with anything is consistency. I had another woman this morning that I was working with her posture, and she said, Dr. Kaysen, I know what I'm supposed to do. I just haven't been doing it. I haven't been making time for it. And I want you to rethink about your posture and even exercise. Think about what you can do throughout the day when you're working, because that's really going to help to open up your shoulders and your chest. And especially, I see a lot of people with neck tightness from being on their computer and also working in that forward posture throughout the day. Another person said that they're conscious of not hunching their back. I didn't write it on there, but they said that their girlfriend is OT, and they remind them all the time of not to lean forward and not to hunch. And someone else said that their family members always tell them, don't slouch. And those are things overall, you telling your family member or yourself not to slouch I mean, you can sit up straight all day long, but unfortunately, if your spine is out of position because of gravity, you're going to hunch back forward. So the stretches and the exercises will help, but truly, if your spine is out of position, that's when we want to dive deeper into specific adjustments and to see what else is going on with your spinal alignment. And if you're watching me from any other location, reach out, see who's local and do a Google search, chiropractor near me, you want to make sure that they do x-rays of the spine, because x-rays are really important to properly evaluate you. And my husband and I, we graduated from Life University in Atlanta, Georgia. So you could also look at where they graduated from, but that would be someone that I would specifically refer you to, is a Life University alumni. Another person, how to improve their posture, is they said they're sitting up straight, which is good, and also massage. And a lot of questions also that I get when it comes to posture is, what do you think about massage? And I think massage is great. We work with a lot of massage therapists, and your muscles and your ligaments are attached to the spine. So if your spine's out of position, that's also going to create tension on your neck, your mid back, and your shoulders. So massage is wonderful with and in conjunction to other tools, if that makes sense. Now, I want to stop right here for a moment. So I want to give you an opportunity. Are there any other things that you do at home or at work for your posture that I didn't cover from the survey? And you can unmute yourself if you wanted to share if there's anything that I missed. These were some of the big ones that I got from what you shared in the survey.
Inversion table.
Inversion table. I'm so happy you brought that up. And inversion tables, which that's, you'll see on the one of the ends of my slide, someone had a question on inversion tables. And inversion tables, they can be helpful. The one thing with that is if someone's spine is out of position in different, there's something called a spondylolisthesis. And you might think, what the heck does that mean? Well, that means that the lower vertebra has actually slid forward in the lumbar spine. I see this a lot with our soccer players, horseback riders, and also I see a lot of gymnasts in our practice. So for people that have these different misalignments or even a curvature or a scoliosis of their spine or degeneration of their spine, that's when I would not recommend an inversion table for them. So I always recommend people are working with someone to help to support them. And sometimes inversion tables can actually do more harm overall. I would even suggest for all of you is you get a large exercise ball, 55, 60 centimeters, and you actually lay back on the ball. That's really like a natural traction or inversion. If you're able to do that, just a gentle stretch back to help separate the discs. That's a good one. Did anyone else have any other thoughts on what you do at home or at work to help to improve your posture that we didn't share on the survey here?
Yoga.
Yoga, that's excellent. Which that goes with the stretching in the core. And a lot of our members that are doing yoga, there are new things out there now called, and you might want to write this down, like wall yoga, wall Pilates, um, seated yoga. I have so many different people doing different things. I recommend whatever exercise you're doing, you don't want to cause discomfort. And especially when it comes to posture, from my experience, especially in the last couple years, I've had a lot of our members, they've actually gotten injured from CrossFit or some type of high intensity workout. Not to say those things can't be beneficial for your body, but if your spine is out of position and in a compromised position already, and then you try to do lifting, you could create an injury. I've had so many people doing their like max strength and they're thinking they're doing good and they've injured their lower lumbar disc as well as their neck. I would probably say in the last year or two with people doing home workouts, we have had more injuries than ever with heavy lifting. So what I suggest is if you're going to the gym or if you have a workout plan that you're doing at home, lower weights are always the best. And you never want to do the heavy lifting to your max strength, because that's when we start seeing the weakness occur in the body and then you can create an injury. So I'm happy that you brought that up for yoga. And then transitioning to the neck curve, going along with what we see and what it should look like. And I don't know if any of you have ever had x-rays done of your spine. These are digital films. I want you to look at the photo on the left here. This is someone's curve. This is pretty common that we see. And even with some of you, when you take your posture picture, if you have head carriage or that forward posture, your neck could be looking like this. Now, you wouldn't know until you get a film of your spine, but I want to share with you structurally your cervical curve should be 45 degrees. It should look like a C-shaped curve. And most people, unless they've been getting chiropractic care during their whole life, unless they're not working on a computer and they're more active, most people have a forward postural curve rather than being that C-shaped curve. I had a woman this morning and she is so excited. She's a young 69 and we've been working together for the last 3 years, and her neck curve has really improved in the last 3 years, and she has no decay in her spine. If you look on the left picture here, I want to share with you, some of you, you might have heard the word degeneration of the spine, and I'm going to teach you something here this afternoon or this morning, wherever you're watching me or when you're streaming me. But as we come down here, the disc spaces, if you look really closely, we should have that nice width right there. And then if you look right here behind it, how that's decreased. And then if we come down here, if you look really closely, that's a normal disc. But if you look right there, that's degeneration of the spine. That happens over time when you're in a forward position, and it overall actually decays over time if you don't have proper motion. That's why one of the biggest things that you can do is exercise, making sure you're drinking plenty of water, your food choices, fueling your body appropriately to help decrease inflammation, and also finding someone that's a skilled chiropractor to help you and assist you with improving function. Because really, ideally, you want this nice curve. And some of you, you may never achieve a perfect curve, but what you want to do is stop that from continually happening in your spine, which it will over time, especially I know with all of you with your activities of working, and many of you, you're on a computer, or if you're out actually working in the field, there's gravity, which pushes us all forward. So some of the things that I was talking to you about in regards to with the symptoms in your body, we talked about degeneration. I love this picture because some of you, you could be having discomfort in your body right now. And if you are, only 10% of your nerves can feel pain. So by the time you're experiencing pain in your body, those are like red flashers going off. That's been there a long time. And also confidence. Confidence is connected to posture. So one of the things all of you can start doing after seeing me today is when you go for a walk today, which I hope all of you, wherever you are, you go outside, you do some kind of activity. I want you to roll your shoulders back and I want you to lead with your heart. And I'll say that again, I want you to lead with your heart. So when you're walking, I actually want you to engage your upper back muscles and lead with your heart rather than your shoulders. That alone will help start working on those muscles to help bring your head back, and also with your mid back too. Some of you could have headaches or migraines. Some of you right now, which I will not ask for a raise of hands, some of you could have digestive issues. All of you should be having 2 to 3 bowel movements every single day. And we talk about digestion a lot in our practice because if your spine's out of position, that can impact the nerves that go to your colon, but also nutritionally, you could have some imbalances going on, which we're going to talk about that in the fall during the nutrition workshop. But everyone's body is a little bit different, just like your mission at Osborne with helping clients, and everyone's a little bit unique and different. So is in our body. So when someone comes into the office and they might say they're having low energy or they're stressed or poor posture, we really do a detailed evaluation because a lot of different things can impact your system. But even just starting today, all of you starting doing chest openers, working on engaging your core, and even when you're walking, and looking at your ergonomics throughout the day, it's amazing how over time that can really help to take some pressure off for you. And of course, exercise. I don't know how many of you are doing regular, consistent exercise, and you want to be doing some type of movement every day. And I understand there are some days that you're working on projects, you've got deadlines, you have meetings. I appreciate you hopping on during your lunchtime today with me. But even walking is a form of exercise. It's amazing how that can change function. A couple of the really great things for posture for exercise is I like to encourage people with bike riding is a great option because it's the least amount of pressure on the joints, whether you have an outdoor bike or you're going to the gym in a recumbent bike. Right now, it's the season for swimming. I have a lot of our members in our office, they are in swimming classes or they like to go and do laps and swim. I like doing light weights and cardio, and you can even think about your yard work. And if you're living somewhere and you have steps, all of these things are exercises. But the key really with your posture is you want to work on your core. So core would be things like bridges, planks. There are some funny names for some different exercises. They're called bird dogs or dead bugs. That's when you're doing opposite hand and opposite leg. And that really stimulates the different spinal muscles. So if you're sitting or standing at work, you want to write down bridges are really important for you, as well as dead bugs or bird dogs. And you can look a little bit later on YouTube to find out how to do those. But it's all about engaging your core. And core is your whole core, not just your abs. And a lot of people think when I say core, they'll say, oh, I can do 100 sit-ups or I do 100 push-ups before I go to bed. That's wonderful, but core is consistent change over time, and it does take time to work on your posture. The woman I was working with today, it's taken us 3 years to improve posture. And also in the last 3 years, her husband's passed away. She's had family stress. She's got grandkids. She's got kids. There have been parties. She's eaten sugar, all these different layers of life. But the key is that you have a system to work through so you can get back on the yellow brick road, as I would say. And as we're talking about posture and function, even, I want you to think about your own environment. Physical, chemical, and emotional stress, those are huge when it comes to supporting function, especially when it comes to tissues, because if you can see the holes, they're called the intervertebral foramen right there, where the nerves come out, that hole is really small. So if your spine's out of position from being in a forward posture, and then say you're eating sugar or foods that have chemicals, that actually creates inflammation, which puts pressure on the nerves. I was working with a woman, she's in her 40s this morning, and she was having numbness and tingling in her hands, commonly bilateral or both hands being numb and tingly. A lot of times it's from that neck. But I said to her, I said, so have you been eating ice cream? Because you can just feel her body is very inflamed and tight. And she said, Dr. Casey and I went to Kelly's Island and I had some ice cream, and her body just didn't feel, it actually felt puffy, like she was holding on to fluid. Ice cream can actually cause inflammation and discomfort in your body. So some of you right now, and if you can see me, I want you to squeeze your wrist. And this is called the squeeze the wrist test. And you actually should be able to feel bone right there. Some of you might be able to feel bone. Some of you might feel a little bit like you're holding on to fluid. This is something really great to do with your family or at a family gathering. Squeeze each other's wrists, see how you're doing. It's amazing. Even changing what you're consuming, even in a week, couple weeks, and you start doing the squeeze the wrist. Some of you might not be able to put rings on right now because of inflammation going on, but it's all a part of that detoxification process. You have to think whatever you put in your body impacts your tissues, including your spine and the muscles that are attached to the spine. A simple thing right now with summertime is making sure that you're drinking plenty of water. And your goal should be half of your body weight in ounces of water. So right now, take a moment, write down how much you weigh. You don't have to put that in the message box. You don't have to share it with me. I want you to divide it by 2, circle it, put big stars. That's how many ounces of water that you should be consuming every single day. Now, to reach that goal, you need to have already started drinking your water before you see me right now. You want to start in the morning time because you do not want to be drinking all of your water before you go to bed, or else you'll be up tonight thinking about me as you're going to the bathroom. But it's amazing. The simplest thing, consuming pure filtered water. A lot of you right now, you might not be drinking water, but maybe you are right now. You're chugging your water because I just said that you need to drink water. But it's taking the time throughout the day. So I have my water bottle filled up half my body weight in ounces every day on my desk. Now, I can tell you, if I were to be honest, every day my goal is to get through all my water. Some days I still have some left, so I am drinking it on the way home to get my goal. But it really helps me to have it there because I know how much I need to consume. And a lot of you, from what I hear and what I see in our practice, you might have it with you, but you don't take the time to actually take a drink of it while you're working. Maybe you're really in tune with what you're doing. But I want to encourage you, that's going to be one of your action items today, is take the next steps to increase your water. It's amazing how that can change your whole tissue. So the next couple of things we're going to talk about are the questions that you had on your survey. And then if you have any additional questions from today, what we can do is we can review those too. But some of you had some really good questions on your survey that we did together. And I know that there are probably other questions that people had too. And whoever had said already the inversion table, I don't know if that was your question on the survey, but we already touched base on that one. Our inversion table is helpful, and also hanging in pull-up positions. And like I shared with you, I would rather have you lay on an exercise ball or in a doorway to help open up those disc spaces. This was another great question. These are our top questions that we get in our practice. What shoes do you recommend, and what should we look for? I can tell you in our office, I'm always looking at our members' shoes, because when someone's laying on our adjusting tables and we're doing adjustments, we do different leg checks. But it's amazing when you go home tonight, or maybe even right now, take a look at the bottom of your shoes. Your shoes, they should be well worn evenly, but some of you could have overall a wide space and a small space. Your shoe could look like this. Well, that directly impacts your spinal health. And some of the things that I recommend to our members when they're looking for shoes is you want to have a really good support, and you want to have a good width in the shoe, so that way your toes can move. I have a lot of women in our practice, they used to wear the pointy toes or any of the shoes, which they look cute, but they squeeze your toes together, and then that can create bunions. I know with a group this size, some of you have already had bunion surgery, or maybe you're trying to hold off to get the surgery done. A lot of times that's because of how your pelvis is out of position, which then impacted your knees, and then you're walking abnormally and it impacted your feet. So you want to overall have a good width and good support. For sneakers, I know I really personally, for myself, there's a shoe brand called Altras, Altra, and I really enjoy those. Brooks are a good support. On shoes, On, which I know I've seen a lot of, I see all the styles in our office, so those are good support. But really, you have to try the shoe on. You have to walk around in it. What I'm looking for is a nice, solid arch support. In the summertime, what I'm seeing right now, a lot of people, they hang on to their old sneakers that they're like mowing the yard with, or their yard working shoes, or I have people that they have a lot of fun, colorful flip-flops, but they're not the best support for their body. So even like a Birkenstock kind of shoe that has that more solid support, not that you can't wear flip-flops, but you want to be mindful, what are you wearing typically when you're walking long distances? And those were all really good questions. How regularly should you do posture exercises? Okay, someone shouted out how often. I know I reviewed all these different exercises with you. I want to make sure you're paying attention to me. How often do you think you should do posture exercises?
Every day.
Every
Daily.
day. Daily, yes. So daily is key. Just like you brush your teeth every day, I want you to think, okay, I'm brushing my teeth. I want to do my postural exercises. I personally, in the morning time, when I get going, I'm doing my Bible time. I got my teeth brushing. I'm doing my exercises. I do bridges every day. Cat stretches are really wonderful. The person that shared yoga, when you're on all fours and you're stretching, it's like a cat. And then there's something called a cow, and it's when you're arching your back. Those gentle exercises in the morning, starting to get you going before you go to work. And then throughout the day, every time you use the restroom, I want you to start thinking about, okay, crossing your arm over, doing some chest openers. We talked about in the doorway. So I really want you to start creating exercises at home that you can do and when you're working. Another wonderful thing that you can do is when you're driving in your car up against your headrest, you can do chin tucks. You're literally bringing your chin back, and you can do 5 sets of 10. That helps to strengthen your upper back and neck. And some of you, you might need to look in your car or in your vehicle to see how is the seat position, because I've had people that the headrest, the angle is shifting forward like this, which also puts pressure on their head, and that brings their neck curve into that forward position. So today, if you're driving, if you're getting in the car, look at your overall posture in your car to see if there's anything you can do to change it around. What I don't want you to do is don't go home and tell your family or your mate that you need a new car, because Dr. Kaysen shared that your posture isn't the best. But I do want you to see, is there anything you can do at home or at the office to make it better? And the last question, this was really good, is if you have poor posture, is it too late to correct it, or is there hope for correction if it's not horrible? And there is never overall, it's never too late to work on your posture and on your spine. That woman I was just sharing with you, she's 69 years old, young, and we've been able to help her through chiropractic adjustments, exercises, things at home to help to not only improve her posture, but her structure and her nerves on the inside. She's breathing better, she's pooping better, she's happier, all from working on the inside. So even for yourself, say you have a scoliosis or a curvature in your spine. Maybe you've had spinal surgery. Maybe you've had 5 spinal surgeries. There's always hope overall that your body can improve from the inside out. Will your body ever be perfect? No, but you can always work on it. For some of our members in our practice, because we see little ones all the way up to our oldest right now, she's in her 90s. Everyone's a little bit different. It's not cookie cutter based on one exercise for someone versus another exercise for someone else. But in general, all the things that we've been talking about are very gentle techniques that you can use at home. But the key to it is getting to that root cause to see how your body is functioning truly on the inside, because you don't know until you start working on it and actually see your spinal function. So there is always hope for you. And the best thing for you to do overall is to do something in regards to when it comes to action steps. So I know we've talked a lot about different things based on exercise, posture. We talked about things at home that you can do, and also even in the car when you're driving. And rather than just this being another lunch and learn that, and I'm not saying this is you, maybe some people get different options overall with lunch and learns. I know you want to be here, but rather than just being another seminar or webinar that you sat on, what I'm hoping for you to do is actually to write down on a Post-it your 3 things that you're going to take away to improve your posture today. Or you can text yourself, you put it in your notes. What you want to do is put it where you can see it, because you want to create consistency with it. Start today, even after you see me. Get up, maybe you're doing it right now. Do some stretches. Start looking at what are you putting in your body that could possibly be causing some inflammation, or that thing that you know you're doing that you probably shouldn't be doing. Maybe it's time not to do that thing. I had a woman yesterday having all kinds of autoimmune issues, and I asked her, so, do you drink soda pop? Yeah, I used to drink 7 pops a day. Now I only drink 2 a day. And I said, well, are you willing to make some changes if you want to get to that next level? And she said, maybe. So I want you to be that action-oriented person, that water is really good for your body. Work on minimizing those other things that you might be doing. And then consider finding a chiropractor, whether it's us here in Westlake or in Naples, Florida, or if you're in Tampa and the other locations. Go ahead and do a little search on your own and look at their reviews, see if they do x-rays of the spine, make sure that overall it's easy for you to get to. I know in our office, an adjustment takes a minute or two. So even with some of our members, you know, they come here after lunch or in between or at the evening, but really you want to take the next step to improve function. And I'm here to help you. So if you enjoyed this and you're looking for more information, go to our website, druglessdoctors.com, as well as there are lots of videos online, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, yes, even TikTok. If you look up the Drugless Doctors, we're on there. And we would love to see if we could help you too, or a family member. Maybe this talk isn't even for you. Maybe it's for someone you know that you've been trying to talk to about getting some help, or a loved one, and you can say, hey, I saw Dr. Kaysen today and she was talking about posture. Let me show you some information of something she was talking about. And it's all about taking those next steps. So the next thing I want to do, because I want to be mindful of everyone's lunchtime, is I'm going to open it up here, and I'm going to open it up for any questions that you have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and you can overall type in the chat box here if there's anything that I may have missed. And I'm going to go back here briefly. When we were doing that, I had someone say, late Mark said, can chiropractic cure ailments besides back pain? And we talked about the whole nervous system. It's all connected. And David posted even the yoga for beginners. So all of you, you already have a link in there that you can go ahead and do that. Rochelle, do you accept insurance? That's a great question too. So in our practice, our members can use their health savings accounts or their flex spending accounts. We're an out-of-network provider, so all that means for you is we could give you the statement. And most of our members that come into our office, and I'm not sure if Jillian's on here or if anyone can speak to that in regards to, everyone has a little bit different benefits based on what they're looking for. And Oscar, resend the formula for water. Yes, so that's half your body weight in ounces. Oh, and we already got Lauren on it there, and she already put that in there for me. So how many of you right now drink half of your body weight in ounces of water? Let's be honest. This is like we're winding down with our time. So type in the little chat box. How many of you measure it and are drinking half your body? Lauren said I did daily when pregnant. She said I did. So does that mean not currently? And Kathleen, nope, no, maybe in a week, not consistently. Lauren relapsed to coffee. Sometimes I tell people half their body weight in ounces. They're like, Dr. Kaysen, that's not beer, or that's not whatever. That's not LaCroix. That's not sparkling water. That's not bourbon. That's water. It's purified water, not coffee or tea. Like, aside from that, you want to make sure that you're drinking half your body weight in ounces. What other questions do all of you have for me today? I know we went through a lot of fun things. I want to make sure, is it harmful to snap your neck? Yes. The worst thing that someone can do if they're considering chiropractic is don't go on TikTok, don't go on Instagram overall and type in like chiropractors, because some people, they have chiropractic adjustments on there, and that's not the type of adjustments that we do. We do evaluations of the spine. We do x-rays of the spine. You would never, don't walk on your family member's back if they ask you to. Some of you right now, I said overall adjustment, and you're trying to like adjust yourself. You're like, oh, that feels really good, Dr. Kaysen, but I feel the urge I need to do that all the time. Well, if that's you, you want to get evaluated, because over time, you can overall create something called a hypermobility. And what that is over time, continually doing the same motion, you could actually create an unstable joint. And the reason why you're actually feeling like you need to do that is because your spine is out of position. We do gentle, specific adjustments. We don't do cracking adjustments. We have tables built for us. If you do ever feel that release, like when you're stretching, those are gases in the joint, and that is a release. Sometimes that happens during an adjustment also, but that's not your back cracking or your spine cracking. Those are actually gases in the joint. Foam rolling is a great tool, and one of the things for all of you at Osborne is foam rolling your IT bands. So IT bands and your piriformis and glute muscles and your hamstrings. Those are all specific foam rolling techniques for you, because if you're sitting or standing or working at a computer, that'd be really good. And then also, if you're foam rolling your upper extremities, do not roll on your spine. I've had several people injure themselves because they literally take the foam roller and they're rolling up and down their spine, which can also create a challenge. Another question Jonathan had, do you recommend any sleep positions for healthy alignment, or what to stay away from? I will tell you that the worst sleeping position is sleeping on your stomach. I don't know if I have any stomach sleepers out there, but sleeping on your tummy will take all the curves out of your spine. So if you're sleeping, you want to sleep on your side or your back, and you can put a pillow between your arms and also between your knees, which can help. And ergonomic pillows are fantastic. Our favorite pillow is called the Proper Pillow. At Christmas time and Thanksgiving time, we have a special in our office here in Westlake, but you can get that online. It's really cost effective. It's like around $90, and the pillow was actually designed by a chiropractor to help with the spinal curve when you're sleeping, whether you're on your back or your side. And Dr. Anthony and I met the chiropractor at our last continuing education alumni workshop last year. And I love the pillow. I really do. And I do support that pillow. So it's awesome. I've had fun with all of you today. Did all of you learn at least one thing in the last hour that you can start doing immediately, whether it's for yourself or someone else in your life? Yes, yes. Awesome. Well, I'm going to let all of you go. Thank you for being here and joining me for your lunchtime. And I hope you have a blessed day. If you want to reach out to me, my email overall, I'm going to go ahead and send the PowerPoint over to Jillian so she can send it out if you wanted to go back to that. Again, I'm Dr. Kaysen with the Drugless Doctors. Check us out, and I look forward to meeting you. And I look forward to coming back in the fall on nutrition. So when I send the survey out coming up, fill it out, and that way we'll know exactly where we need to go with our conversation. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.